make sure it pops up. Because StreamYard has a couple glitches every once in a while, though. It'll say live, and you'll be sitting there. Yep, there it goes. We're good. So, are you getting cold weather over there?
Always. I feel like it's cold everywhere I go. So I recently went to Nashville where I was like, oh, Nashville's warm. I can't wait. And nope, it was 30 degrees. And when I went to Texas, I was like, yep, it's going to be warm. Nope, 20 degrees. So I bring it with me.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
That's global warming.
Yeah, exactly. So ridiculous.
Okay. Hello, everybody in YouTube land out there.
Hi, guys. Oh, I lost you for a second.
And introduce yourself and let everybody know what you do over. Well, originally, because I've seen you on TikTok, and I didn't know that you came over to YouTube.
Yeah.
And then we found your video that kind of blew up.
Yeah. So I'll give you a little background on that. So the way this whole thing started, I'll take it back all the way if you don't mind me going through the full story.
Well, go ahead.
So back in the second Trump election in 2020 election, at this time it became very normal to talk about politics at this point because everybody was so used to it. Before that, no one ever cared. And so my friends of many, many years said, hey, who are you voting for in this election? And very naturally, I said Trump. Like, duh. And of course, it was what? How dare you? What do you mean you're voting for Trump? What, is there something wrong with you? And of course, pair that with the summer of love and, the whole George Floyd thing. All of a sudden, my friends of 20 years decided that I'm no longer a good person. So, and strictly based on that. So, I was very upset. It took me a very long time to get over it. And I was never vocal about anything political. And pair that with everything that was going on in the world. I had a brand new baby. I had my second daughter in June of 2020. And I was like, you know what? If I lost my friends of 20 plus years over this, I've got nothing left to lose. I've got to tell the world how ridiculous all of this is. And so I made my first video. I was actually breastfeeding at the time, which is actually kind of funny. That I was so angry, I started writing on my notes app in my phone about all of the ridiculous things and how none of this makes sense. And I recorded it. I recorded it in a video because I was like, I don't know how to get this out, but I'm going to get it out. And I think I posted it on Instagram first. And that video started to go viral. And I was like, and somebody said to me, like, I heard your video played on iHeartRadio. And this was like in Texas. It was the Michael Berry show. That actually was my aunt who called me. She's like, do you know you're on the radio right now? I'm like, how am I on the radio? I'm at work. And that's how it started. So friends of mine said, you should really get on TikTok. So I'm like, okay. I know nothing about TikTok. I am not a child. That's literally what I thought TikTok was for. But I started to put my videos on there. And so I continued to make rant type videos about why I thought everything was crazy and how I was angry that the media stole my friends from me. And those videos started to go viral. And then Ted Nugent shared my video. And then it started to get crazy. So eventually someone took one of my videos, posted it on YouTube, and it got 6 million views. And I'm like, okay, maybe I should start posting there because TikTok literally would take down every video that I would put up. And it was so frustrating. So that's how I ended up on YouTube.
Yeah. And it's from what I hear, because I'm just a lowbie over on TikTok. It's gotten a lot worse.
Oh yeah,
over there.
I don't even know if it could get worse. I mean, so I had at one time, and I will say it did get worse because I was able to organically grow to 180,000 followers. And that's, not an easy feat. But then, then they took that account down. I started a new one. I think I got that one to like 15,000. They took that one down. Now I've got this one at 20,000, and it's just like it's not easy. It's really
Oh,
hard to do.
no.
Yeah.
And it's all facts. The stuff that we talk about, it's all facts that you can go in and see the documents. You report about it, but oh no, it's misinformation.
I'll tell you what, Charles. I mean, I've spoken with some other content creators that were on TikTok, and we said to each other one night, I was actually having, I don't know if you heard of Conservative Ant, but he's pretty big on TikTok. And I got to meet him in Florida a couple of months ago, and we were having dinner, and we were talking to each other like, sometimes I feel like maybe I'm crazy because everything I say, everybody's like, "Oh, you're nuts. Makes no sense." And that's the media will literally make you feel that way because it's like every time you post something they're like, nope, misinformation, nope, misinformation. And it
Yeah,
almost makes you second guess yourself. But I know what I'm seeing is crazy. I know what I have common sense. And you just have to find that community of people that continue to uplift you through this, because I think that we need each other right now, because
yeah,
what we do
definitely.
is, yeah, exactly, and what we do is because we care about people, right? Otherwise we just go about our lives and not sacrifice all of our time to getting the word out.
Yep.
So I was looking at it, I was trying to keep up with the chat. Hi everybody. You have a great fan base there.
Oh yeah. Bunch of good people in chat there.
Absolutely.
Um, Now, because you did second part of the
Restoring the Republic.
yeah, restoring the republic. Um, because we've been talking about this on other channels or lives that I'm on, and one of the things that we're talking about is the debt thing, the debt ceiling and whatnot. Do you think that is tied into that?
Absolutely. I everything what I've found as time goes on is that everything is so interconnected. It's almost like, you ever see those movies where the crazy people have like these pieces of paper all over the walls with like lines and
Oh
like
yeah,
that's literally what I feel like. Everything I research, one thing connects to the other, and they're all interconnected. So absolutely, everything is part of the narrative. And I feel like I lose you from time to time. I don't know if your connection's bad, but for some reason you keep freezing on me. I don't know if you guys are seeing that in the chat too.
at the moment. So if you see me freeze up, it
Yeah.
usually kicks back in.
Oh, okay.
So which is odd because usually I have a really good connection, but certain subjects seem to bring out the connection loss.
I'll keep it tamer.
um, what is some of the things that well, I'll put it this way because one of the things one of the videos that I liked, which I've done the same thing, and there's uh, Lake Fairy that's in chat here. She's also covered the same thing about the Matrix.
Mhm.
With the body farming and all that
Yes.
stuff. You want to talk about that a little bit?
What's funny is that my husband watched The Matrix for the first time a few weeks ago.
Oh,
The first time, I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Wait, you've never seen The Matrix? Where have you been?" So, I actually had him watch. He hasn't seen the second one yet. He's still just watched the first. And as we're watching it, of course, it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
hmm.
Um, he starts making the connections. He's like, "Wow, this really is like real life." And, you almost forget if you haven't seen that movie in a while, you forget how much it connects with a lot of the things we're seeing today. And so I did put a video out about that with those child farms that they created in Germany was almost exactly like what was in the movie.
Yeah.
pretty incredible.
Yeah, and there's movies now or series. Um, I forget the name of it, but they had the body sleeves,
Mhm.
and they actually uh, have those where people in our time go over and touch them, and oh, it feels like a
We lost you again. But I will say, so while you're frozen, one of the things that, if you're paying attention is that they have to relay their intentions before it happens, right? It's a karma thing. And people who are following things like satanic type of things believe that their bad karma is erased if they lay out their intentions before they do anything, right? And
yeah.
so I believe that that's what we see in movies, which is why you're almost like, wait a minute, that movie seems like something that happened, right? And that's why, and that's why we look like when we say that, hey, movies can be real, or this thing that happened in this movie happen it can happen in real life. That's why people are like, no way, they would never say
Mhm.
that. Nobody's gonna say, hey, I'm gonna do this to you, and put it out there first. That they absolutely have to, because it makes them feel better about themselves when they do it.
Yeah, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That
Exactly.
was based on Project Blue Book,
Right.
uh, which was supposed to be real, uh, with the aliens and whatnot. Some of that stuff is extremely. It's a major movie, and a lot of people don't realize that's what it was based off of.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I'm grateful to the people that put out the Restoring of the Republic information, right? All of the information about the Declaration of North America, just because in the moment when I put that out, I wasn't seeing anyone else talking about it.
No, not really, not at all. And that's the thing when they pass these bills and things. Uh, a lot of times they'll pass them late at night to where it's not big news or anything, and it gets skipped right over.
The other thing too is that I've say this a lot. I almost feel like with all of the information that is out there, you feel like you're drinking through a fire hose. There's so much to keep up with, whether
Yeah,
it's through mainstream media or what the White House is putting out, or tweets on Twitter, or what's out on social media. There's so much information to keep up with, which is why we rely on each other to do that, right? So you've got people who are great at following, what executive orders are being put out, or what is happening in what CNN is saying, right? Or what The View is
yeah,
saying, because I'm not watching that show, but I rely on other people to watch the show to get the information out, right?
yeah.
Um, so it's important that, if there are certain topics that we find that are super important, to utilize our voices and help each other out and get that information out, because the public needs to know. And they may not connect those dots so easily if they're not, putting their ear to the ground.
Oh, definitely. I think we have a question, Jeff here. What here, I'll just post it up.
Mhm. Question goes to the Defender of the Republic. What do you think about Canada, Mexico, and the United States merging into one? So that's been done, right?
Yeah,
So that this their goal has always been, to merge us into almost like the European Union to be the North American Union. And they've always wanted one world government where we share different laws, and we share, currency, and all of the things that we do are the same. Especially, in a public health emergency, they want to be able to say, this is what we should do globally, and you've all already pre-agreed to do that, right? So in the Declaration of North America, this is kind of like the um, preamble essentially to their new constitution that they would that's their ultimate goal, is to have like this North American Union constitution. And they had the declaration, the LA declaration, right, which they did in I forget when that was. I want to say 2 years ago. Yeah, a little over 2 years ago. And that was between the US and Mexico. And I mean, and then they had a bunch of other countries involved as well. But Trump didn't go to that. Pence actually was the one that attended, which was interesting because um, when you think about it, and there are experts in this that I speak to get their take on it. And I did say that, I was like, why didn't Trump go? Why was it Pence? If Pence goes, is it, if he signs and agrees to something, is he allowed to do that? He's not the president. And they said, no, he's not. Think about that, right? Maybe that's why he sent Pence. Um, but that's just one of the many documents and declarations and agreements that they've done that led up to what happened on January 10th, which is when they declared that our borders are open, right? Our borders between Canada, ourselves, and Mexico are open, which is why you're seeing in the news migrants are in New York City taking over hotels and demanding
Yeah.
that, they're not leaving. This is my new house. This is where I live now. Too bad, right?
Yeah.
But people are seeing that as just, oh wow, these migrants just won't leave. No, we're accommodating, giving them accommodations, and that's all for a reason.
And you also touched on like Florida breaking off from this
Right.
whatever they're calling it.
Well, that's what, so this is the reason why that's important, because even if Biden were to give away our sovereignty, the states still have the ability to declare their sovereignty, right? So in Florida, DeSantis, I believe it was in the beginning of January, um, put out a declaration essentially saying that Florida is, its own, it has its own declared borders, right? Their National Guard essentially is their state guard. So it is, and that's what the states need to do, right? Because there's the federal
Mhm.
government, then there's local state governments. And until the states declare that these are our borders, this is our state, these are our, we're going to go abide by our laws and not the laws that the federal government determines are the laws and their rules, we're in trouble, right? And so that's why it's important for us to do something as people in these states, right? We have to tell our local governments, hey, this happened. What are you doing about it? I will, we've got to
Yeah.
declare our sovereignty. And until people wake up and actually start doing these things, nothing's going to change. And they're
Mhm.
only going to advance their agenda.
Yeah. I've noticed California has the new California. Idaho
Mhm.
is also doing it, which is they're reforming their borders and stuff of their states.
We have to. We
Yeah.
have to. And I'm almost like Abbott in Texas, right? He goes back and forth. It's almost like you see glimpses of hope with him, and then
Yeah.
it goes away. And
Yeah.
I'm on the fence about what is happening there. I just don't get it.
Yeah. And just like the Twitter stuff, the Twitter files, as they're calling them now,
Love it.
since which I don't call the guy's name because I still believe that's who got me in trouble the first time with YouTube. So
Mm.
the
Yeah, I know.
the
I know
electric
who you
car
mean.
guy,
Yeah.
um, he's released a lot of stuff that the government was involved in uh, stomping out basically us that try to bring information out that is important.
Yeah, so I will give you a little tip, and I saw somebody in the comments mention it. So Entheos on Truth Social, who used to be on Twitter, refers to this man as Oaktree. So if you want to give him a new name, we'll go with Oaktree, just because in Hebrew that's what his name means. So
Oh,
Yeah. So that's what we'll go with. So Oaktree, um, I will say is what he's done for Twitter is important because we need that, right? We needed an avenue within social media to be able to put information out where we couldn't do it anywhere else. And I do
Yeah.
believe having what happens there is the psychology of it is that all of a sudden Twitter is now free speech, and then people are now all moving to Twitter. So if you own a social media company and you're, censoring people and people are moving to a place where there's free speech, now you're saying, wait a minute, we're losing our people,
Yeah.
right? So it almost forces the hand of other social media companies to say, hold on, I got to give these people a little more leeway so they come back. And it's almost like the carrot game, right? They're dangling the carrot, like, come back, I'll let you say a word you couldn't say before, right? Um, so I do appreciate that Oaktree did that. But I will say it's the amount of information that is coming out through the Twitter files is so important. And I
Oh
do
yeah.
think, yeah, and I do think people need to, if they haven't read it or watched the videos about it or, listen to it, they really, really have to, because that's the information that we've been screaming for years, saying, you got to
Yes.
see this. This is happening. I promise you it's happening. And that it's all there. It's laid out for you.
Yeah. And even when that first started with the whole laptop thing. Oh, it's just a laptop. There's nothing on it. It's Trump's people making a big deal out of it and whatnot.
Well,
And
Marco
then
Polo's
now we're
been
finding
amazing.
all this information about the Ukraine and burning documents over there and ooh, all
A
kinds of
lot.
stuff.
It's
Yeah.
a lot. I mean, so shout out to Marco Polo. If you guys haven't checked out Marco Polo, they're the ones that put out the Hunter Biden laptop information and the Biden emails. So if you go to, I believe it's Biden emails. He's gonna kill me for not remembering this. Um, BidenLaptopEmails.com. That's where you get the emails. So it's actually searchable, right? So if you type in a term, it'll pull up every email that has that term. Very easy to use. And then for the laptop, it's Biden.digital, right? So if you go to Biden.digital, it's actually a reader version. Same thing. You can type in a phrase or a term, it'll take you right to that part of the laptop. But what's interesting about that is I remember people were claiming on like what was it, Reddit or I don't know, one of those channels, like, "Oh, we've got the stuff from the laptop." And everybody's like, "Don't go watch it. You'll get in trouble for seeing that stuff." I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
But the laptop stuff is more than that. It's more than what you think it is. And I will tell you, the stuff that they said you would get in trouble for having is not in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The people that are in there are of age, right? So that's one. I can confirm that. He's still a disgusting human being, but the important part of the laptop is the taking of the classified information and selling it to other countries and all of
Yeah.
the gaining money by the crime family that's taken over the White House.
Yeah. That
That's what's
whole
important.
um when he was working for when he was a vice president, we'll put it that way,
Mhm.
going over to Ukraine, and all of a sudden his son gets a job for $86,000 a month.
Oh, it's crazy
Then
the amount of money.
it goes over to China, and he's partnered in a refinery for the gasoline and stuff, which that's who refined our gasoline that was released from the reserves.
Yep.
And,
Smartest man he knows. That's why. That's why I made so much money. He's just so smart.
yeah, but he's the poorest politician there is, evidently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, there's so much to cover there. And one of the things that I was talking to the people on my channel about was I was doing the series on the Ashley Biden diary, and my intent was to get that out there because that's out. A lot of people miss that. There's a lot of important things in there that people need to see. But again,
Yeah.
I've found that people don't like to read anymore, unfortunately, or people don't have the time to read anymore.
Oh yeah.
So that's why, I put out these like videos that are quick and easy to get, the important information. So a friend of mine actually said to me, "Hey, you should just do the Ashley Biden diary like on video." So I did it, started doing that as a series, but then people were commenting saying, "That's an invasion of her privacy. I'm not watching this. How dare you put that out there?" Because it's a diary, right?
Yeah.
And it's already out there. It's public. And I guarantee you, if it was, Trump's daughter's diary, then it would be everywhere. CNN would be reading it. It would be a series. Um, but I did put that poll out there last night, and most people said that I should continue it. So I will be doing that.
Here's another question.
I hate this question because, and I'll say this, Ruben, I I'm not offending you. I don't mean to offend you, but I will tell you, if you understand what is happening in the world right now, in the state of the world, and what is to come, you would never even say this. This wouldn't even be a thing, right? I understand DeSantis has done wonderful things. He's done wonderful things, but he's still a politician, right? He's still um, not involved in doing whatever it takes to make our country better, right? He's about Florida right now. DeSantis is about Florida, and that's great. But everything that Trump is doing in terms of sacrificing his life to make America great again, right? But it's America first.
Yeah.
And there's so many things, and it's funny. I actually sent loads of information to one of my friends who asked me this question. But people are easily corruptible. I'm not convinced that Ron DeSantis can't be corrupted. And he's got a lot of bad people around him right now. Because if I were one of these really bad people who want to corrupt others, that's my number one target. Like, I want Ron DeSantis on the evil side if I'm one of them. Right? So that's why, and you're not getting Trump there. So that's why I say, like, if that shouldn't even be a question. Trump versus DeSantis, that's not a thing.
Oh, and here's another one as we get done with that one.
So, what's your thoughts on Kevin McCarthy, friend or foe of the American people? Will he get anything done or turn into a rhino? So, Kevin McCarthy was a rhino. He was already there. But here's my thing, okay? And I usually agree with Trump. And there are things I don't agree with Trump on, but more times than not, I do. Um, this one I didn't agree with him on initially, and I was hardcore not agreeing with him. And I had a lot of discussions about this, and I'm like, why would he do this? Why would he endorse Kevin McCarthy? And I had a really good theory at the time about it. Because you saw it took 15 tries to get
Yeah.
Kevin into the seat, right? Um, but my thing was, you knew because of how the house was divided that it was not going to happen like that, right?
Yeah.
There's a chance, and I still think it could be a chance. I don't know. This is my guess here, that he did that partially because had he not, what's to stop a Democrat, right, on the other side when it's going on and on and on and on from saying, you know what, we can corrupt this guy. I'm just going to put my vote in for McCarthy, right?
Yeah.
And then you take them, you corrupt them, and now here we go, we're in trouble again. Well, if Trump endorses him, it's career suicide, and no one's touching him on the Democrat side. So that was my theory. But now that he's in the seat, all I could say is we'll see what he does.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. And certain things come up, like when Trump tries to get back in it, and then all of a sudden here comes the flip,
Right.
and
Right.
that's the thing to watch out for. And
It's
I
sad.
think I've seen another question up here. I guess
Couldn't
not.
place it.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Carrie Lake.
I love her.
Yep.
We need more Carrie Lakes. I
Yep.
mean, she's just an amazing, incredible person. Most people would have given up at this point, right? And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
why you gotta love her. You gotta love her, and she won. We know that she won.
Oh, yeah. And there's so many videos out there that um, I was over on Tins and we're playing the videos where they were putting the the votes in and it would get rejected, and then go
Right.
over to the next machine, rejected. And then you see the guy in the background skipping where they're supposed to go through the machine
Oh
to
yeah.
register. He's just putting them over there.
There's so much visual evidence of it. It's
Yep.
but that's what they do, right? It's like, here's a pen in my face. There's no pen. There's no pen, like that's literally their thing.
Yep.
And it's funny. It turns out that Katie Hobbs's husband has an account on Truth Social and he was trying to go incognito on there. And I found him because someone pointed it out. And he truthed one day saying something like, um, everyone needs to bow to Katie Hobbs. I'm like, wait, what? Bow to her? You nuts? But yeah, he's my favorite person to troll right now. True.
Oh, yeah, and here's the other one. I brought this up last night too about the little video you did about the George magazine.
Yeah, that's a great one.
It's old magazine, but
No, this
wow.
one was a new one actually. So I'll tell you about it. So yes, there are the George magazines that were from 95 to
Yeah.
2001. Love those magazines. Every single one of those issues have like Easter eggs in it. Like, if you played video games, I guess that's what it's called, right? Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had Easter eggs in it where it's relevant today. And this was written 20 plus years ago. How did they know about things that were going to happen 20 years later? Right. And so
Exactly.
now, yeah. So going back and reading it now, you're just so amazed, like, wow. I've been, and I will tell you this, I haven't read every single issue because I've combed through it with a fine tooth comb because it's so fun to read. But now, so Gene Ho, who was Trump's photographer, put out the new George 2.0. So if you go to georgeonline.com, you're able to read it for free. But they also, you can buy the issues, which I actually happen to have here. But so the fourth issue just came out this month in January. And if you turn to page 4 and 5, which people pointed out, 45, you turn to page 4 and 5, there's a spread that has a movie theater, and it's got, the red movie theater seats. And in the back row, you've got 6 people sitting there. And it turns out, and you only see the silhouettes. So it's George Washington, Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump. Then there's a seat in the middle. Then you have JFK Jr. Then it's Lincoln and JFK. And behind JFK Jr.'s seat, it says George Online. It's got like the little advertisement there. But on the screen is Junior's plane, right? Which was a Piper Saratoga, is the type of plane that was there.
Yep.
And right. And it's his plane because it's got the tail number on it, that
Yep.
matched the plane he was on. But then on the corner, it says 60 years in the making. Enjoy the show.
Yep. Enjoy the
Incredible.
show.
Right. And like I said, I let people infer what they want from that. I didn't publish that. But the people that did put it there for a reason. There are Easter eggs apparently in there. And if you follow me on Truth Social, you'll find that the people that
Yep.
are part of the magazine said you missed a few things, but you'll
Yep.
figure it out
The plane
eventually.
is same color as Trump's
Yeah.
plane.
Yeah.
And there's another good question. Speaking of prepping 101, there he is.
Hi. Yes. Yes. I was a latecomer to that, by the way.
Yeah,
And
same here.
it's funny though to watch because when I see new people start to follow it, I'm like, I did that too. Because when I first started seeing it, I'm like, why are people so interested in this thing that was like from 2018? Like, what do you mean it's relevant today? Like, I didn't understand how that worked.
Yeah, exactly. And I sometimes have issues where I'll follow something, and then, like, on my computer, I'll start with one tab, and then pretty soon I'll look up there and there's 30 tabs open, and I have a
Yep.
window open here and a window open there, and I'm like, whoops.
Well, listen, the media wants people to think people that follow that are, you know, out of their minds. And that tells me that means it's something you should follow, right?
Yeah.
Anytime they tell you to look left, you look right. But I will say this too. I do have friends that are on the fence about it. But I tell them there are too many coincidences,
Oh
and there's no
yeah.
such thing as a coincidence. There's no
Yeah.
such thing.
I mean, some of it does seem like it's way out there, but then again, the more you get into it, it's like, oh,
Well, that's the problem. It's left to interpretation,
yeah,
right? Same reason why I told people take what you want from that picture, right? It's the same thing. It's
yeah,
about perspective, which I have on the sign ahead above me. It's about perspective, right? It's however you want to take that, fine. And some people's take will be right, and other people will be wrong. And so that's why it's tough to say for sure. But that's what it's the way it's meant. It was meant to be taken.
yeah. No, I did see, which it's passed way too much, but somebody asked about schools and the stuff they're teaching our kids in school now, which my kids wouldn't be in school right now. They'd be homeschooled
I know. I
nowadays.
know. I'm
Oh
with
boy.
you. I mean, I wish I could. I mean, I know there's so many, and I was doing a show on parenting, and I find that there are so many people who've done it, right? Who've taken their children out of school. It's a big sacrifice if you're not already home. But it is something that I've considered, right? Because I'm lucky where right now my daughter's at an age and at a school where I can monitor, and I've spoken to everyone, and some of the people that are involved are very like-minded like we are, and they've intentionally pushed away the stuff that they're supposed to be teaching until she gets older. um, but once we get there, it's not going to be good. But the problem is what these governments are doing, both federal and local, is they're threatening to defund the schools if they're not teaching these things.
Yeah,
And that, they're tying their hands, and it's not right. So, I would say for teachers, because they have leeway, if they're that's that you have to have a trust with teachers, right? Because
yeah,
their curriculum is they could say whatever they want in the classroom when no one's there, and that's good and bad, right? So
yeah,
it's a little scary, but that's why you've got to have great relationships with teachers.
yeah. And again, with your kids, you got to be able to talk to your kids and know what they're doing in school, and
Of
which
course.
nowadays it's really hard because both parents have to work
Mhm.
two jobs, sometimes more, to make to buy food.
Right, and
I
think about
mean,
single parents, right? Single parents,
oh
and
man,
it's very, very difficult,
yeah,
and so that's why I don't fault people for who can't do it. Um, but I will say what we can be doing is getting more involved in what the schools are doing, right? Attend the board meetings. When I moved to my town, I went to the first board meeting of the school year. I was the only parent there. I couldn't
oh
believe it.
wow,
And this is a pretty big town.
hmm.
So, I know there are other parents in this town that are concerned. Where were they?
Some are scared though. I
Well,
mean,
we're beyond that.
you,
If
you
you're
know, going and you speak your mind at these meetings, and then you're flagged.
well, my child's more important to me than whatever
Yeah,
it is that they're gonna say. My reputation, like am I scared to stand up for my kid? That's the part that
yeah,
boggles my mind.
yeah,
You should never be afraid to stand up for your child. That's what it is. The
yeah,
fact that there weren't droves of parents, and that's the other thing. It's almost like masking, right? I feel like, well, not that I feel like I know. that whole thing was a compliance thing, right? They wanted you just to learn to be compliant and to get used to being compliant. And so
Mhm.
what they did here in New Jersey was the New Jersey Teachers Association or New Jersey Educational Association put out a like 30-second video basically saying that parents are terrorists. They don't belong in, and they shouldn't be meddling in what schools are doing. And if they don't like it, they can go elsewhere. That was literally what they put on television to
Yep.
everyone. And it made parents say, okay, I won't go. I don't want to be a terrorist. you know? But it's really,
Yep.
are we that scared? Are we really not going to
And
stand up for our kids?
that's the whole plan for to get people scared or follow line or else
Yeah. I mean, I say a lot.
be the
I
sheep.
do have hope for humanity, but I do get disappointed very, very often that their heads are so far up there, you know what.
Yep. And the thing that I have such a hard time with is I see the stuff. Why doesn't everybody else see the stuff? I mean, uh, and they say that the government doesn't uh, with the Constitution,
Mhm.
and it's broken all the time. Like for the schools,
Right.
they're they're not supposed to be doing that kind of stuff in schools. You're supposed to have a freedom that stuff, and it still happens all the time.
The problem is board members, superintendents, right? Those
Mhm.
people have taken it as though they have ultimate power. They don't, right? They are supposed to answer to us. That's why they have public meetings where
Mhm.
they have to answer to the public. And a lot of school districts have decided, nope, not doing that. We're going to do whatever we want. No. And that's when you say, no, 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 no. We employ you, right?
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of it is people have a fear that these things could be worse than they think, right? And that's why people don't see it. They choose not to see because
Mhm.
people think that if they go looking for the truth, that it will scare them.
Yeah, and it
And
should.
it should, but that's why they remain, blind to everything because it's almost like ignorance is bliss to them. But we're
Yeah.
beyond that. Ignorance
Oh,
is
yeah.
not bliss. Ignorance is going to get you in big trouble.
Yep. Just the fact that, when the pandemic happened, um, there was no more flu, cancer, heart disease, or anything. It's just one thing that was killing people.
Exactly. But what makes me happy is that I'm seeing a lot more doctors finally getting the courage to speak up,
Yep.
right? Banding together, and they're saying, "No, we're not going to hurt people." Right? Our jobs it's not to hurt people, it's to help
Mhm.
people. Um and I'll tell you what, I'm not a doctor, but when a lot of these doctors go to med school, they go in with the intention of doing good and doing no harm and helping people. And then you slowly start to realize, the doctors are really just kind of pushing what the pharmaceutical companies want them to push. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
it becomes habit. And they don't realize like all of a sudden you've gone from what your morals and, what you've intended to do to just kind of waking up every day and doing what they tell you to do. And,
Yep.
it's sad because I do think it takes a it takes a lot of effort to go through med school, a lot of time, a lot of money, and not everyone can do it. And these people that actually go through all of this, are should be smart enough to say, you know what, I want to do what's right and not what I'm told to do.
Yep. Yep, I agree.
Do we miss any
See if we
questions? I lost track of of the chat.
Yeah, I was just gonna see because I seen a question up there, and it flipped on by really quick. if you guys got questions or anything, just put them in caps or just put question in front of the question. Oh,
Yeah, and it's
so
funny.
what you got anything planned for the future with your channel and TikTok?
Yeah. Listen, I will say, I'm just trying to stay afloat in TikTok. This account is this close from being banned, but I do have a backup, so hopefully, that one
I
will be
know
able
how
to
that
grow.
is.
I
we
know,
we
but
all have backup channels nowadays.
yeah, unfortunately, we got to do that. But my plan is to get streaming, right? I do want to eventually do a podcast myself. I don't know if you guys have heard of pilled.net, but there's something called the Foxhole, where I'm looking to stream from there and Rumble and YouTube, and I would put everything out there. Also looking to do Substack as well, right, where I can put my thoughts in on paper for people that want to read those things. So yeah, I mean, I have a lot of plans, but I do have a full-time job, a full-time job that takes a lot of my time. So, working really long hours and then having the kids and being a wife and then doing this, I don't get much sleep. So things are happening very slowly. Does she like tacos? What is it Tuesday? I was gonna say, is it Tuesday? No, it's Wednesday. Yes. Who doesn't like tacos?
Okay, there's another question there.
What are your thoughts on food shortages and dates of Best Buy getting closer than ever? Eggs meat. Best Buy, as in, yeah, yeah, I got you. So, food shortages we know are coming. I mean, what do we had 50 food plants burned down over the last year or so?
Oh yeah.
I like what a coinky dink. They're all burning at the same time. Um, and prices are skyrocketing. And if God forbid we have a pandemic 2.0, what happens then? People panic. They rush to buy all the toilet paper and paper towels they can find.
Yeah.
Um, so that's why I say I'm so grateful for channels like yours where you teach people how to prep in advance so that it does not happen to them. And I
Yeah.
know a lot of people, my husband included, I told him, I was like, I want to buy this to prepare, this to prepare. And he's like, how much money are you planning on spending? Like, why? We're fine. I'm like, no, it's like insurance. You got to prepare.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
the Best By dates are because, the freshness is not there anymore, and it's just
Yeah. We talk about it all the time. You go get a loaf of bread used to last a good while.
Mhm.
Now, if you don't use it in 2 to 3 days, it's moldy already.
Yep.
Same thing with the fruit
I've noticed
and
that because it's more scarce, right? Less farming,
mhm.
right? And things sit on the shelves longer. It takes longer to get there, right? When with the issues with having trucks available to transport things back and forth, right? It takes longer to get to the stores. So then by the time
Yeah.
it gets to the store and it gets to you, it's been sitting for a really long time. And so yeah, that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, the whole issue down in the Panama Canal, it's majorly backed up.
Right. And it has been for a long time.
Yeah, and the thing is, with the ports on the west coast, they they slowed way down to where they're only letting very few unload over there,
Oh
and
yeah,
that forces everybody else to go to the other side, and that Panama Canal is the only way to get through there.
yeah, I mean, in my industry, I'm seeing 1 year delays on getting things.
Mhm.
1 year delay. No, it's unheard of.
Yep.
I saw another question in the chat.
Um, oh, there's one.
How does your husband deal with your politics at home? It's funny. So he, thank God, he's on my side of the fence because I don't think I'd be married. But it is tough. It is tough, right? Because when I do things like this, when I'm podcasting or filming or doing anything, or I'm traveling, he's got to take care of the kids, right? So I do commend him. I have a great husband for doing that. He does make fun of me for it, right? Because he's like, all right, go do what you gotta do. I'll take care of the kids again, right? But I am grateful to him for doing that, because he does believe in what it is that I'm doing.
Well, that
And I told
that's
this
good.
story. Yeah, I told this story recently on another podcast that I was on. And this, I'm sure, happens to a lot of people. I actually got an email today from someone on my YouTube channel about this. When we go through all of this and we see what's happening, you almost want vindication to come quickly, right? You want to see lots of wins. But that's not how this works, right? We're undoing centuries of corruption, and that takes time. So it's
Mhm.
very hard to stay motivated and encouraged. And sometimes you'll see things happen where it's like, why do I even bother? People aren't waking up fast enough, or people are getting
Oh, yeah.
corrupted. Like, people don't care, right? You start to beat down on yourself, especially if you're an empath. Like, you take all of that in and it drains you. So I came home one day after learning that someone in the movement that I trusted was going in a bad direction. And I was like, I threw my hands in the air and I was upset. And I said, Why bother? If people are so easily corruptible, if a few $1,000s is all it takes, like, why bother? Right. And he sat me down, he gave me a glass of wine and reminded me how important it is to continue to do what I'm doing. So I will say he's amazing for that.
Well,
So
that's great.
yeah.
And we got a question from our Tin TV.
Oh, Anthony Blinken, that guy. So I think I mentioned this in one of my last videos. Yes, the George Soros video, right?
Yeah.
Um, how Blinken's connected to Soros, and again, connections, right? If you start digging, you'll find a lot of interesting nuggets. Another one is, so Blinken and his father's wife all have connections to the school that Soros established in the 90s. And so he's got major, major, major ties into Soros. And we all know he's not a good person, probably the worst man ever.
And there's a lot of them,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Right.
And like I said, usually after this show, I usually go over to Prepping 101, and we go over. Sometimes it gets sidetracked, but mostly it's the same conversations and stuff like that. And then Tin TV has a good show over there also, which
That's great.
you're one of our main conversations over there too.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
That's awesome. That's
we
awesome.
played your video, a few of them actually.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
that makes me happy. Thank you so much.
yeah,
Really appreciate that. And
but
that's the
yeah,
other thing, like, it's sharing people's information. That's why, like, Marco
exactly.
Polo, right? And anytime someone brings up Hunter, I'm like, go to this website. We've got to help each other. We're grassroots. We don't have the billions and trillions of dollars that these guys have,
Oh,
and all
yep,
of the connections and brotherhoods, and doing all of these things that these evil people are doing. We're just a whole lot of good people sacrificing a whole lot of our time basically for free, to help humanity. There's no, major recognition in that. There's no, big, payday in that. This is
yep,
grassroots. We need to do what's right. We need to help each other do what's right and get the word out as quickly as we can before it's too late, right? And I also don't want people to be afraid. That's another thing too, like, because a lot of this can sound like fear.
yep.
My big message is there's nothing to be afraid of, right? We need
Oh,
to be
I
strong.
get that label all the
Yeah.
time. I'm a fear monger.
Yeah, no, and that's not what this is. It's just
Yeah,
truth. It's just a whole lot of truth and reality,
yep,
and we've just got to prepare people to say no. That is the
yeah.
most important thing, is that the compliance is that they saw the last of the compliance. That's not happening anymore.
Hmm. Oh, let's see. Did I see another question there? Thought
Was
I
it my
did.
husband that said that question? just, just kidding. Thank you, Nose Picking, for putting that out. Great name, by the way.
Oh, it's the same one.
do have our freedoms in each other. Absolutely.
Yeah, Nose Picking gets us some good information.
Yeah, I see that.
Okay, there's one. There was one
Who
for.
are some of the people that I watch? Oh, that's a good question. So, I'll tell you, every day is a little different. So, I spend a lot of my time on Telegram. So, I have a Telegram channel. If you guys are on there, it's Defender of the Republic 22. I spend a lot of my time sharing news there, right? So, I'm really, I don't watch as many podcasts as I want to, unfortunately. Um, so I will say, I have gone on Pills. I have made a lot of friends there. So there are a lot of people that I've seen there. I don't know, like I really, a lot of it is just news. I'm on Twitter a lot. I'm on Truth Social the most, I want to say. So all of my information is coming from me digging into stuff. I spend a lot of my time digging into
Yeah,
information,
it
talking to
takes a lot
people.
of time.
It takes a lot of time, and that's why I wish I had more. The only time I really listen to podcasts like X22, my friend Chris Paul does one called "I'm Your Moderator" on Substack. Um, I listen to those while I'm driving, and unfortunately, I don't leave my house enough. So that's really the only time I get to catch up there.
Yeah. Uh, I don't know if this is for me or for you. So I always plan to do interviews. Doesn't always work out, but yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, there are a lot of people out there that are full of great information.
Yeah.
So, if you need help getting people on your shows, I got you too. Because
Yeah.
I've got a
That's
laundry list of people that they need to hear.
yeah. I've been because a lot of people I've seen are moving from TikTok.
Yeah,
They're starting YouTube channels.
they have
So
to.
I've been in contact with a lot of different people that are really big on TikTok,
Mhm.
and they're seeing where they're getting shadow banned and things like that, and they're like, well, maybe it's time to move to YouTube
And
and
that, yeah,
other places. Yeah.
I'll tell you that's why it's important also to talk about. I mean, I remember when Trump said he was going to ban TikTok and everybody lost their minds,
Yeah.
right? We know now why he said that. And, I've personally seen in my own people that I know that it kills the attention span of what people can handle, right? So, like, people literally can't listen for more than like 3 or 4 minutes because that's the timeline that people typically put out on TikTok videos. So,
Yeah.
um, it's not a good platform. It's really not. And I just think it's almost becoming like Google, like when people say Google it, right? Like I made a video about that. Or like when
Yeah.
they say Kleenex, it's a brand. Like people need to stop saying, "Oh, I got it on TikTok. Oh, I got my news on TikTok. Oh, I was on TikTok today." Like stop saying it because it's not a good thing. That's not where you're getting your real news because
Yeah.
they're choosing what they let you see. So, that's another message that I think needs to get out there, guys. You got to find a new platform. TikTok is not it.
We got from Cheddar Pepper Prepper.
Do you anticipate the banks going belly up in accordance with, yes, of course, desires to control? So, right, there's the central banks, which we know that's a whole nother podcast, right? But their goal is obviously to decentralize the dollar, right? I mean, there's so much you can talk about with this, but we are facing economic crisis right now,
Oh yeah.
right? So it's important to have a backup plan. A friend of mine who's also on YouTube, Bo Pony, if you guys follow him, right? He talks about how important gold and silver is right now.
Yeah.
I wish I knew him sooner and bought it when it was cheaper, but
Yeah.
but there is listen, banks can say, you know what, Defender, no more bank account for you. Your assets are frozen. And now what? Right?
Yeah.
They have that control. Do you want them to have that control over your money? No.
Same thing they did over in China.
Yeah. And people don't realize they've got control over everything. They wanted to shut off this channel right now. They could do it, right?
Oh yeah. We've been up on Prepping 101s, and boom, it gets shut down.
Yeah.
And he had to start up another one because they shut his live down.
Right.
It's all what you're talking about, and then I don't want that, and then whoop, pull the plug on you.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's scary. But that, again, people don't want to believe it because it's too scary to believe.
Yeah.
No way they can do that.
Oh, there, Dana B.
How long before you think everything may crash? It's anybody's
Ooh,
guess. I mean, again,
yeah.
Bo might be your guy, right? Do you follow Bo Polney by any chance?
No, I. It's really hard for me to venture out
Yeah.
to new people.
So same. And
Yeah.
the only reason why I know of what Bo speaks about so well right now is because I met him in person in Nashville recently. And I happened to be sitting next to him and didn't know who he was in the moment, right? Because there were 3,000 people there. It was crazy. And I introduced myself. He says his name is Bo. I think nothing of it. And I'm like, oh, so, talking to him about why he's there. And he starts telling me about all of these things that he knows are going to happen. And I'm like, oh God, this guy's crazy. Why did I sit next to the crazy guy? Right. But then all of a sudden, all these people start coming up to him and shaking his hand. Can I take pictures with you? And I'm like, who the hell are you? Why do people want to take pictures with you? But what these people were saying was, you made me so much money. You were so right about when to buy this and when to buy what to buy and when, like, I'm like, wait a minute. Do I need to know you? Because it sounds like you can make me rich, right? Like, that's what people were saying. Apparently, so he is like almost like a prophet of the economy. Like, he knows when things are going to happen. He follows it very closely, but he relates it to scripture. So that's the part where I thought this guy was crazy, but he's predicted the Bitcoin ebbs and flows out of the 24, I guess, times it crashed, I think he said. He's predicted 23 of them accurately to the day.
Oh wow.
To the day.
Huh.
So that's why I was like, okay, I sat next to you for a reason because I know nothing about any of this. But long story short, his prediction was April.
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 Oh wow.
Yeah,
Wait,
he actually has a date. I
that,
don't remember the exact day, but it was in April.
yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just from the information I gathered, I figured we would see it uh, in June, 6 months within.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Everything's pointing in that direction, right? Again, you see enough that things start to trigger in your mind like, wait a minute, I've
yeah,
seen this before, and you're able to connect the dots pretty easily because now it becomes second nature to you.
and that Fed coin keeps coming up, keep coming up. Oh,
Right.
bring your currency over and exchange it for this, and yeah,
Exactly.
and then that debt ceiling there is really close.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
April does
Makes
look like,
sense.
yeah, more and more, because we always said that there was a date for that debt ceiling when it raise it up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone said Nancy Pelosi is good at stock market predictions too. She is. That's another person. I would
Oh
follow her
boy.
stock trades.
Yeah. It seems like the more you see these people, and then you see the different stuff in the background, and
Right.
nobody else sees it though.
Again, how do they not? Sometimes it's like it's right
Let's
in your
go ahead and
face.
let's sell all of our Google
Yeah,
stock all of a sudden. Oh, guess what? Google's getting investigated.
exactly.
Oh, I wonder
Exactly.
why she sold off her stock.
They're predictable at this point. They follow the same playbook all the time. It's like,
Oh, they're asking What's the name of your backup channel?
Oh, so on TikTok. So right now I'm Defender of the Republic 23. I think the other one's 24. I'm just I'm not hard to find. It's like I'm going
That's
numerically
a
up.
good idea, though.
Yeah.
uh, oh, there.
Oh, this is a good. I've gotten this question before, Ruben. So, um, I will say this: I would love to run for public office, but in my state, in my area, New Jersey, because our GOP is so corrupt, I don't think I would make it anywhere, right? So you don't get elected, you get inserted in New Jersey. So unfortunately, it's kind of pointless and a waste of my time. So I'm going to use my time where it's more utilized better. But I will
Yeah,
say, exposing that is another one of my missions, right? Exposing all of the corruption within our GOP because it's so bad, so bad. And even when you do get an America First candidate, they tank them intentionally. It's like, here, we'll let your little America First candidate get in there, and then they destroy them intentionally, and they have their own people putting out propaganda against them and campaigning against them. And these are supposed Republicans campaigning against Republicans. It's horrible. It's horrible.
yeah, and that's the thing that irritates me the most about the parties. Um, it doesn't make a difference. You can it's bad, but you still stick with your party no matter what. And it
Yeah,
shouldn't be that way.
it shouldn't be that way. And the
No.
other thing too, I will tell people, and I think this is so important. Other people are afraid to register though. And this is the opposite thing, right? So people are afraid to register as a Republican or a Democrat. Well, they're afraid to register as a Republican,
Yeah.
right? So I know so many people that are like, I'm a registered independent, so I can go either way, right? But that is what they want us to do. They want us to register as independents because they can now claim the narrative and say, because Democrats aren't afraid to register as Democrats. So
Yeah.
they can claim the narrative, like in my state, and say, New Jersey is a blue state because there's more registered Democrats. But literally, if you look at the numbers, we have 2.5 million registered Democrats, or no, 2 million registered Democrats and 2.5 million registered independents. If those independents would register how they vote, you can't call New Jersey a blue state anymore. But that's why they can do it, because people are so afraid to let their neighbors know, because it's public information, that they're a Republican. I
Yeah.
need balls. We just have no balls. I thought New Jersey was tougher than what it is. I'm sorry, I missed that question.
Oh, it is just a statement.
Oh,
Jersey here trying to
hey
get out.
Jersey. Hi, Lady Dagger status. We need more of us in New Jersey to
And I
Jersey here
think you
trying to
already
get out.
answered this, but Jeff is wanting you to run for president.
That's a tough one. I mean, listen, Trump's doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
Got to get him back in there.
Yeah. Um, another question from Ruben
What was
there.
your red pilling moment? Sorry if you covered that already. Oh, no. So, I do credit my red pill moment to Barack Obama. Barack Hussein Obama. So because that's when I kind of like was of age to really follow politics. I was, when you're like younger, you're like, hey, whatever. But it was like first black president, hell yeah, right?
Yeah.
As did everybody said that, right?
Yeah.
Who was going to vote against Barack Obama? You knew nothing about him except he was this senator in Chicago, smooth guy, and he's black. We got to get our first black president in. Yes, vote him in. And then all of a sudden, I will tell you this. I did not see beyond the smooth as silk. And then once I started to realize what he was doing in the background and how messed up he was, I was like, "Oh my god, I've been had." And that was my red pill moment, when I was like, the smoother these politicians are, the worse, the more they can get away with. And
Oh
that's why I
yeah.
love Trump. He's not smooth at all. You know what I mean? He can't get away with nothing. But that's what it is. Like that once I saw that, I was when I started to dig more. I mean, as a young teenager, I knew that something was off, right? That the government was lying to me.
Yeah.
I think I was 18, giving away my age, but I think I was 18 when 9/11 happened, and I knew that was a whole load of crap. But yeah.
Oh yeah. Um, other than Trump, what was your favorite president, or one that you liked?
In my lifetime, none. Not in my lifetime. I mean, think about it. Like, so what do we have? Clinton.
Oh no.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bush.
Oh no.
Like,
That's no.
I had a whole lot of bad presidents in my lifetime. Like I can't think of any.
Mine would have been Reagan.
Reagan, yeah.
Yeah, just for the fact that some of the best speeches.
Yeah, I mean, Reagan was great. But I wasn't around for that. But and JFK, right? Had he
Oh yeah.
gone full term, I don't think we'd be in the situation we're in right now.
Yeah.
Which is, where I think Trump is picking up. He's picking up where JFK left off.
There was another one here. Yeah, Obama. Yeah, a
Same.
lot of people did the same thing. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Not the
But
second time.
Biden got more votes than Obama. I
Yeah.
mean, so many people wanted to vote for Biden. They just all went running to vote for
Yeah.
Biden.
More votes than people or something like that.
Yeah. But how does Biden get more votes than Obama? I mean, come on. Come on.
Oh, because I do this a lot. Because TikTok is a good place to get these little clips of Trump or Biden, and
Yeah.
oh, Biden. What's wrong with Trump? Oh, the first thing everybody says, racist. Oh, he didn't do anything, and oh, the other one was the concentration camps in at the border. Oh, you mean
Oh
the
my
ones
God.
that
Oh, the
Obama
kids in
made?
cages.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh no, Obama didn't do that.
Yeah, exactly. And look what Biden's doing now.
Oh yeah.
It's insane. And the problem is if you speak to anyone who's ever been in Donald Trump's presence, they will say nothing but amazing things about that guy. Like, people that know him will say he is an incredible human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course they should audit the Federal Reserve. They should audit every dime that comes out of Congress, everything that
Yeah.
went to Ukraine, like all of it needs to be audited.
Oh,
I mean,
there's so much stuff in there that for other stuff, for this over there and everything. You don't know where it goes.
how can they audit us when they don't audit themselves?
Yeah. Well, you got $600. Where'd that come from?
Right. We're
Was
just
it a gift?
asking for
Nope.
same. You want to audit us? We audit you. That's how it should be. Fair.
Yeah. I don't see these things popping up for the politicians and stuff, because they get all that extra. I'm sure it's over $600.
Oh, of course. I forget what specifically it was, but so in my district, so our representative did have a situation where he did some fraudulent stuff with money, but there's a law that basically says that the fine is $200, but he made like tens of thousands of dollars from what he was doing. So it's like, okay, so you're telling me I could make tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars and pay a $200 fine? Sure. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even make sense.
Yep, and that's one thing that when the Hillary and Trump were going at it and saying, "Do you use these ways for your businesses?" And yeah, So does everybody else. So does all the politicians that are up here. They do the same thing. And he says, and when I get in office, I'm going to make sure I change it.
Pretty sure Joe Biden still owes back taxes right now.
Oh yeah. That whole everything in that Biden, you can go his brother.
Yeah, he's one of the worst.
Oh man,
George Soros hasn't paid a dime in taxes.
yeah.
George Soros, this man has more money than anyone. He hasn't paid a dime.
That's ridiculous. And then everybody else, they're paying out left and right. I mean, taxes. You pay your property tax, your state tax, and then whenever you buy groceries and this and that, tax.
You were never meant to be taxed this way.
No.
You were never meant to be taxed this way, and the problem is compliance. Again, everyone has been used to paying it, and they're just like, I guess I'm supposed to pay all of these taxes. No, we were never meant to be taxed like that. Yes, I would like to do that. That's where all my money's going anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'll go ahead and leave it to this. And you got anything you want to say before we end the stream?
No, I'm first off, thank you for having me on.
Oh.
I'm so grateful for you having me here. You've
Oh,
got an
you're
amazing
welcome.
audience. They've been so much fun to hang out with.
Yeah.
So I will say, just continue to help each other out, right? Help encourage others. When someone comes to you with questions about what's happening, understand that everyone's in different stages of awakening, right? Some people don't understand the things that you understand. So be patient, right? Because you never know who they can become, right? You never know how they can help others. So I will say, that's a very big message I like to spread. And then, when you're sharing messages about what's happening in the world, try to do that with love. Because again, you don't want to turn people off. We really need to understand that they're trying to divide us. Whether, you have a viewpoint that's different from someone else's, try to come at them with love, and it's okay to disagree. It's okay to disagree. But in this time that we're in right now, it is so important to work together, to be unified, and to understand that our future for our children and their children is so important. And it's up to us right now to do what's right, because if we don't do this now, we will be apologizing to them in the future that we didn't stand up for them now.
Yeah. I
Kinds
want
of
to thank
newbies, that's
everybody
right.
for hanging out with us tonight. My guest here, and if my mods could put links down, we got Prepping 101 is next at 9:00, and then we got 10 TV at 11, I do believe. So can continue with all this good conversation, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Thanks, guys.